Hello, welcome to episode 22, SWR Darts Coaching Podcast. With me, Sean, a qualified and full-time professional darts coach, qualified with the PDPA at level 1 and JDC at level 2, and obviously various other qualifications to go along it. Episode 22 will mean that episode 21 there was the Bridlington preview, which I was received quite well, and there was quite a few people of the area of Bridlington who appreciated me giving out a mention to their venues while I was up there, which I'm absolutely delighted by the fact that people were listening to the podcast. And obviously, I know a few people found a few of the venues that I suggested. They went to and they enjoyed. So that's great. And that is always the aim of that podcast. This is the review, I suppose, now of Bridlington. I've been back a few weeks. I've been absolutely hectic since I got back with coaching. So I'm going to do a little review of Bridlington weekend of the British Open, what I liked, what I didn't like, etc. It's pretty much the same as last year's, I would say. Not much really ever changes there. But also in this one, I'm going to sort of touch on, in the second part of the podcast in a way, I'm going to touch on the idea that I have behind the two words of training and practice. And I'm also going to talk to you about a practice game that I think you might find helpful towards the end of this podcast. So, let's get into it. So, Bridlington 2025, the British Open and Classic weekend at the SWR. Oh, what a weekend. I've got to be honest to you, I'm getting old. It's taking me longer to recover from things. And my word, did it take me a long time to recover from the trip away to Bridlington. Brilliant again, though. The town of Bridlington, I just cannot get enough of that place. I'm already going back next year. For a holiday in hopefully March time. My aim is to also probably get up there again Christmas time, I don't know. Listen, if you listen to my podcast, you know I love Bridlington. You know I'd move to Bridlington tomorrow if I could. And I would. Pub-wise this time round, wow. Yeah, pubs are just, they're flowing in Bridlington. They're getting stronger and stronger. Dartboard-wise, very accessible. Didn't really have too much issues across the weekend trying to get onto a dartboard. Plenty of accessibility. I mentioned in the last podcast there were certain pubs I wanted to tick off and try to see if they got a dartboard. I managed to get them done on the Saturday. I think we can all agree that the Friday and Saturday's weather wasn't the greatest, especially the Saturday. It didn't stop raining all bloody day. But yeah, shout out to a few of the pubs that obviously once again looked after me as a dart player. The George, fantastic again. That place just gets better and better. Sadly, this year I didn't get a game of darts in there. There was no one in there playing darts when I was in. That was a shame. But once again, the hospitality of the George is second to none. I went into the Lansdowne this year. Great little throw in the Lansdowne. Great company in there as well. Fantastic folk that were in there. I even did a little bit of coaching in there with a couple of people who were asking me questions. So yeah, brilliant. The Lansdowne, really glad I tipped that one off. The Builders Arms, nice dart throw. Couldn't use it though on the Saturday night, unfortunately. So still need to have a throw in there to tick that one off. Went down to the sports bar, the Bridge Street Sports Bar, I think it's classed as, which is above the Brunswick. Yeah, that's a nice place to go and play darts. That's a really good venue to play darts. Sadly, I didn't get into the 180 Lounge, which I was a little bit gutted on myself about, that I didn't get into there to see Rich and his team. But obviously, Friday night I was at Bridlington Town and we got a win. First time I've ever seen the mighty Seasiders win. But yeah, the Friday and the Saturday, standard for me, round the town. Nothing changes in Bridlington. It's the same old great place. Price of beer fluctuates very much from pub to pub is what I find. But the dart throws are brilliant. Goat as well. They even mentioned me giving them a shout out on the podcast, which was brilliant. I got a free sherbet for that as well. But yeah, again, they've now got a few more dartboards upstairs. Problem with the Goat is that concrete floor. As a dart player, if you're getting a bounce out on a concrete floor, your points are liable to snap. So you've got to think about that in that situation. But most other places, it's carpeted, or you've got, there's something around to protect if the dart is dropping out. But yeah, preparation on the Friday was fantastic. I had a really good training prep all day Friday. Drunk too much, though, unfortunately for me, which meant that Saturday I didn't really get on the board that much in the morning. But I did get a good practice session in the afternoon with a guy in one of the pubs, and then obviously went to the Lansdowne and had a really good chuck in there. Good solid 2 hours darts chucking in the Lansdowne. Went through my little training routine that I'd set myself up to do while I was there, which my training routine is basically we're going 20 darts at Big 20, 30 darts at Big 20. We're doing 30 darts at all 20. We then select a number at random that we do 30 darts at. So that number on that day was 13. So I do 30 random darts there. Then after that, I move into a couple of games of 170 and 6. And then I play Rusho's 5-4-3-2-1 game. Then I play a little bit of my Sean's 29, which is my variation of Bob's 27. And then I sort of finish that off with my own little doubles game that I play. So I'm trying to get everything of the core areas of darts into my little training routine, which I managed to do while I was in the Lansdowne on the Saturday, which was great. Then a few people came in, had a few games with me, which was again fantastic. And I even managed to get a few 180s knocked around, and the big fish. I took a big fish out as well, which was really good for me. It builds that little bit of confidence up. Getting into the Sunday and the British Open itself. I'd heard a few people saying that, this year it seemed to be a lot smoother. They moved the boards a little bit as well, so there's a little bit more room in the spa. Be honest to you, I couldn't tell the difference. I genuinely couldn't spot any difference in the actual setup of the room. I believe there was still a couple of practice boards, not many. I do think that's something that needs looking at, getting more practice boards available. I honestly do. But again, rocked up at the venue, just gone sort of 8:15. Signed up. Signing in is absolutely a breeze at the British Open. You just walk in, say your name, get given your wristband, and away you go. Straight down onto the floor. I didn't take a bag or a jacket with me, purely because I have this idea, why am I going to leave it? Where am I going to leave my stuff? So I don't take a bag with me. I know a lot of people do, but a lot of people go with other folks. So you have a table, so you put your stuff on the table. As someone who travels solo, you have that little bit of anxiety that if you leave your bag somewhere, is someone going to be looking through your bag as you're at the dartboard? Don't want to really take your bag down to put by the dartboard, if you will, as you're warming up. So I never do that. But I had my darts, I had my case with me. I knew I'd leave my case on the floor behind where I threw, where I'd have my bottle of water. So I decided this year that I wasn't going to have a drink early doors on the Sunday, because I might have drove back Sunday afternoon, but I also didn't want to drink. I didn't want a drink on that Sunday. I play darts fairly regular without a drink, so I didn't really see the value in getting a drink on the Sunday morning. Went on the training board. First thing I did is the moment I started on the training board, because I got my new top on with my logos and everything and my two sponsors on there, a guy turned around to me straight away and went, "Oh, I follow you on Facebook." I was like, "Oh, thank you very much." He's like, "I love the stuff that you post." Now, straight away, that's great to hear. And of course it is. It's that proclamation sort of thing of you getting, a nice little bit of feedback. Then a chap on the next board to me said, "Oh, are you the guy who runs SWR?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, right." He says, "Do you do darts academies?" I was like, "Well, I run a darts academy, yeah." He's like, "Oh, can I ask you some questions about the darts academy?" And at that point then, I'd sort of settled in. I'm relaxed. I have said before on this podcast that I do suffer with a bit of performance anxiety. I can help coach players to deal with performance anxiety. It's very difficult sometimes to get that out of yourself. But my performance anxiety has got better over the years, and I am dealing with it a lot better. But the moment you get talking about darts for me, and I get talking in that situation, oh my word, it helps me immensely. It brings me out of my shell. And that's what happened. And, I had a good chat with a couple of chaps. I then went and I decided I want to move around the boards. I normally stick to one board and go through my training plan. But I decided that my 4-step training plan, or my 4-step warm-up, if you will, I was going to do across 4 different boards. And that's what I did. I started moving around the room. At that point then, obviously, the room starts filling up. So you then get into 3, 4 on a board. But then, obviously, for me, it was great to meet some, players and faces that I haven't seen for a long time. Some players I've not spoken to for a while. And that was great, just catching up and having a chat. Myself, Kurt Bevins, Matador Darts, and Sam Squire Darts Coaching. We all had a little chin wag at the top of the venue. We were having a real good little chat with each other there. I had a brief chat with Tony Martin, fellow PDPA coach. I spoke to Kieran Wynn. Love seeing Kieran every year there. He's a great lad. We keep in contact via X. And then various other people, Aaron Ayres, a local player to me in Cheshire. I had a chat with him and his missus and a couple of his friends that were there as well. So yeah, it was going really well. And then obviously all of a sudden the draw was out. Now, this is not normal at the British Open, that the draw is done early. They did shout out several names. If you're here, you're not going to enter the draw. I don't agree with that. I don't. I understand that apparently the year before, or the day before, I think it was the year before, I didn't know of this. They'd done the draw, and there were people in the room that had registered and got wristbands, but weren't in the draw. So I get why they're asking if these people are in the room. But yeah, draw was done, nice and smooth. I forget my board number, I think it was 15. And down on the list of the players, I was standing with Kurt, Matador Darts, and the irony of it all, who was on the game before me and who was on my board, Kurt. So we knew that we would be possibly meeting each other in the next round if I got through, and of course if he got through. So that was then nice to know in a way. It's nice to know at that point who you're going to play if you get through. And it's nice always sometimes to play someone you know. I certainly find it better sometimes to play someone that I know. But I know other players don't. Some players don't like that. They'd rather play, someone they don't know in a way. So yeah, different situation there. I think for me, I was more comfortable with that. So the time obviously then came, Kurt's game was on, so he goes down to the board. So I thought, well, I'll go and watch him. And as I'm watching his game, obviously I'm chatting with a couple of people who came over and had a little conversation with me, which was really nice. Because at that point then, I just wanted to really just, relax more than anything. I wanted to take my mind off the fact that I'm going to play this game of darts. I didn't go in with putting pressure on myself to want to get past this first round. I want to get past the first round. I haven't been past the first round for the last 4 years. But I was like, no, let's just settle into it and everything. I didn't know who my opponent was. I'd seen the name. I never looked him up. Last year, I did look my opponent up. I didn't bother this year. And Kurt won his game. So we were on. We set up to the board. And at this point, I'm playing a chap called Dean Chandler. Dean, I think, was from Warrington Way. And straight away, he was like, okay, let's go through the normal 9-dart routine that I will go through, the same as what his routine was. I won the ball, which is brilliant for me. I wanted to win the ball. And I had a really good first leg. I kicked in with a ton, which I was really happy with. A couple of 40s in there. I'll run you my first leg. It was a ton, 45, 45, 81, 45, 81. Then I hit 31 to leave 73. Dean, unfortunately, at that point, missed 3 darts at double 16. I came back up for 73 and I scored 55. So I went to leave myself double 18 at this point. Right move, wrong move. we can argue either, can't we, here? I felt the way I went for my 73 was right for me, but unfortunately it didn't pay off. So I left myself 18 to come back to, but Dean took out in 2. Leg 2, I completely and utterly kicked myself in this leg. So, Dean kicked off with a nice ton, I kicked off with 84. My scores in this leg were 84, 41, 113, 81, 45, 42 to leave myself 95. Now, 95 left. So I've come up and I have hit treble 19. Lovely. Great dart. Well done, Sean. Love this. So I've left myself 19. I've left myself double 19. I've then hit a single 19. So now I'm in a little bit of a quandary here. I've got 19 score left. So normal people at this point will go for a 3, a big 3 to leave double 8, come back to. Various ways, but that's the common one. No, I threw for big 17 to leave myself double 1. Yes, I did. I didn't miss big 3. I threw for big 17. The reason I'd left myself double 1 is because I was confident at double 1. I was very, very confident. Now, bear in mind, at this point, Dean is on 32. So it's bold for me to do this. But I've done this thousands of times in training. I've done this thousands of times that I'm confident to do it. However, I then missed 9 leg darts at 2. And I think that was then my downfall, because then I got inside my own head. I shouldn't have thrown for the 17 to leave double 1. I should have just relaxed in, thrown for the big 3 to go for double 8. It's the most common statistical route. But because I'm confident in this mindset of I don't really care, but I'm confident everywhere I throw, that's the reason I threw for big 17. Now, fair play, Dean struggled to take out his double, but he eventually took it out with 1 dart after about, another 9 darts. So, at that point then, I've gone. That's the best way I can describe it now. I've allowed the inner chatter in my mindset to take over and ruin my game of darts now. So I'm 2-0 down. I can still bring this game back. I've got to win every leg now. I've really got to step forward. But no, the inner chatter got the best of me. My anxiety kicked in a little bit as well. And the next leg was an absolute disaster. From us both, I think Dean won't be disappointed if I said it's from us both here. He went away quite well. 78, 45, 41, 58, 45, 81, 46. Pinged in a 97 to leave 10, but then he missed 12 match darts. He missed 12 leg darts, and eventually took out 8 with 2 to take the third leg. And into the fourth leg, I just could not find my rhythm. I didn't get over a 40 score until the last 2 throws. And again, Dean was absolutely on fire here, I felt. After 12 darts, no, hold on. After 18 darts, Dean is sitting on a score of 89. So, he was on fire then. He took that out to win 4-0. Doubles was his issue. He had said that to me straight after the game. He says, it's my doubles. And you could tell that if his doubles were on fire, he'd have destroyed that. So my question that I shouldn't ask this, but I do. I've lost a game of darts and I'm going over to my opponent then saying, what's your double routine? What's your training routine for your doubles? Because that's where you need to pick up. Sean, this guy has just played you. You don't now need to go and coach him. But yeah, I think for me, Dean, a really nice, steady player. Did get a little bit frustrated with some of his lower scores. But knew it was in his tank to sort of pull that back. But yeah, certainly the doubling really did kill him in his match. So yeah, unfortunately, a 4-0 defeat. Unlike last year, which was a 4-1 defeat, it was a 4-0 defeat this year. After the event, marked my next game, which was a really good game. I marked Donny Jong. Johnny, really good lad. Really fun to mark and have a chat with after the game. I then did a bit of mooching around, talking to a few folk, and then walked back to my hotel. Decided that I was going to stay for a couple of days. So I went back to my hotel, got changed, and went and watched the football. And then went to the pub to have dinner. So, again, am I disappointed about my Bridlington experience? No. You gain something from all there. And what it has gained for me is I've joined 2 pub teams, and I've already played a handful of games since I've returned. Because what I also realised at Brid, and I said this last year on the pod and I did nout about it, you've got to play. You can't turn up for these type of tournaments and not play. You've got to have played. You've got to have match experience. It's all right, all this training that I do and all the talk I do about my training and everything. That's all and good. And if you're a player that, trains at home and then wants to go to a darts tournament, that's fine. But you need match experience. We need match experience, folks. And that's the one thing that I've taken away from it. And I've rectified straight away in myself. Getting more match play. Training's great. Match play's good. And I'm unbeaten at the moment. As I record this podcast, I'm unbeaten for the teams that I play for. So, really happy with that. Really, really happy. So, all in all, Bridlington, was it a success? It was in my eyes. Every time I go to Bridlington, it's a success. Will I be there next year? Of course I will. I will always come back to Bridlington. So, Bridlington over. Let's talk about the next part I want to just pick on. And this is the phrase that I've been using more, and you've noticed probably more over the last couple of podcasts. Training versus practice. What are the pros and cons of using the word training over practice? Well, I just want to talk about them here in this pod. So, let's talk about training. The word training. What is the pros of the word training? Well, it gives a professional tone straight away. It gives you a broader scope of what you're doing. It gives you that coach-led identity that you are training. Someone has given you a training platform. However, the word training can intimidate some new players to this game of darts. And it's also the less familiar vernacular in darts. The other con of using the word training is that you can overstructure training. So you can overtrain. So that's a problem with using the word training. So, what's the pros of the word practice? Well, it's an approachable language. The word practice is commonly known in sport. It's a friendlier way of saying the word training, in my opinion. But the cons, it lacks that punch for me. It lacks the punch of you going, I'm going practice in there. When you say the word training, you know there's a purpose behind what you're training for. And the way I've always joked about it and said it is, if you're on a first aid course, you go to train to learn first aid. You don't go to practice first aid. You go to learn to train to do first aid. So, should we not be going to train to play darts instead of going to practice to play darts? It is the way I like to look at it. I like to use the word training because it just gives me that little bit more of a purpose, a little bit more of that professional tone that I say. It's structured more when I say training. Training, I have a training program that I stick to. I don't have a practice program. I have a training program. So training over practice, what's the differences? Not many, let's be fair. More people will use the word practice than training. I respect that. The other side of things I talk about is when I'm training, I'm trying not to overthink with the brain, and I will when when the practice side of it, you do overthink a lot. I set myself up to just relax, breathe, and deliver. That's what I'm looking to do. Breathe, set yourself up, deliver your darts. The overthinkers of us who probably are going for the phrase practice a lot, they're going to be thinking, is my aim right here? How's my grip? What's my stance like at the moment? Is this level? Is the dart coming back correctly? We're overthinking everything. Whereas if we just go into this mindset of training and not being bothered about if we succeed in training or not, the amount of people that I see recently, and it's like, well, I've got to win. I can't play a game of darts first before anything else, because it's going to affect my average on my dart connect or my scolia. Don't care about your averages. It's training. Train what you're doing here. It doesn't matter about the averages. You're training for scenarios of matches. I said it just on that Bridlington review. I've started playing now out because I want a little bit more match experience. I want that little bit more of interaction of playing against a player instead of just going through training routines. But I'm still more focused on the training than I ever have been. And I encourage all my players that come to me for coaching to work on the training plans that I give them. Go away and put into this training plan, put your time into this training plan. And then what you do in the training plan, then take that into practice, then put it into play. So it maybe is a 3-step thing that we're looking at here. Who knows? But for me, it's training over practice, and it always will be. And I refuse to use the word drill. I hate the word drill. So the last thing on this podcast, this is something I'm going to try and just add in every time we do this podcast, is game number 31 from my website, the doubles routine. Now, there's no fancy name to this game. There's no fancy way of going about it. The way this game plays out is just a simple doubles game that you and a partner can play. You can play this solo as well. You can play it in a team if you wish. Dead simple though. We're going to use all 21 doubles of the dartboard. And we're going to look to either be the first player to get to 10 points, 20 points or 30 points. But there's a scale of how we get to the points based on the amount of doubles that we get. So we've got 3 darts at a double and we'll go in numerical order. So we'll go double 1 first, then to double 2, double 3, etc. So you're going to have 3 darts to throw at double 1. If you miss all 3 darts at double 1, so what I mean by that is they all go over double 1, you'll then move to double 2 straight away. However, if you throw for double 1, and let's say your first dart lands in the incorrect section, so it lands in double 20, you won't throw your next 2 darts, you will retrieve that dart and move to double 2. The same way if you throw for double 1 and you hit single 1, big fat single 1, you will retrieve your dart and move to double 2. If your first dart throws and it goes over double 1, your second dart throws and hits single 1, you'll retrieve and move to double 2. The moment you hit double 1 though, you will get 2 points. 2 is the value of double 1, so you'll get 2 scoring points. And then move to double 2. You won't throw the other 2 darts. If it was your first dart, you'll move to double 2. You throw for double 2, you hit double 2 with, let's say, the second dart, because the first dart landed outside, second dart landed in 2. You'll now score 4 scoring points, running you up a total of 6 scoring points. After you've gone round the whole board on the 21 doubles, and bearing in mind when you throw for the bull, you won't technically only get 1 dart, because any other dart that lands outside the bull would mean that you won't get the bull. You will have a score. You will have a total score that you've built up. Now that total score then equates to points that you will gain in this game. So let's say that you'd only hit that double 1 and double 2, so you got 6 scoring points. Well, 6 scoring points will fall into the first category of double round score, which is 0 to 25 score, so you'll pick up 1 point. But if you've gone around the doubles and let's say you'd worked out 164 points, so 164 points is the 6th bracket on my list, so you would gain 6 points. So if you're playing to get to 10 points, you've just gained 6 points from that doubles round. You then start a new fresh doubles round. So if you're playing this solo, my encouragement to you would be how quickly, how many visits will it take you to get to 20 points? You can go 10 if you want, but I'd go 20. If you're playing it as a team, again, set the target of how many points you want to get. 20 is a decent middle ground target. 30 is quite a tough one to get to. But the principle is this. You're just trying to get to the target. Once you go over the target, that's it. But you complete the round. So it's 21 doubles that we're going for. We get 3 darts at each double. But it's my philosophy of if you throw and you come inside the board on the double, into the single section, into the incorrect section of the board, you retrieve your dart and move to the next double. There is no point in my personal view from training to continue to throw at a double you've already missed. There is no point. Our aim of this practice is to throw at the double and hit the double. If we throw over the double, again, that's where we should be aiming, just over that double, not inside. So, game number 31 from my website, doubles routine, really good. Let me know in the comments how you get on. So that's it for episode 22 of the SWR Darts Coaching podcast. My Bridlington review, my talk about the difference between the words training and practice, and of course practice game number 31 or training game number 31. I just can't be bothered to go back to my website and alter all the text on each one, but I probably will at some point. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, of course, there's a button to let me know that you've enjoyed it. Don't forget now, this podcast is also on YouTube and it's on Amazon as well. So you can listen to me in various different places. And if you're struggling to sleep at night, whack me on in the background. You'll be surprised how quickly I go. In episode 23, I'm going to be doing something different. My plan is to do something different. I'm not going to talk about it now, but my plan is to do something different in episode 23, which, if you then listen to episode 23, there will be a disclaimer warning, so that might give you an idea of what episode 23 is going to be all about. But if you're after any darts coaching with me, one-to-one, in person, based in Stoke-on-Trent I am, you can find me on my website, swrdartscoaching.co.uk. You can book on there for one-to-one coaching. I offer 60-minute slots, 90-minute slots, 2-hour slots, and 3-hour slots. I coach players from the ages of 7 all the way up to whatever age you want to be. However, the junior youth players, I only coach a maximum of 90 minutes because I feel that they lose a little bit of, listening in the session for the longer ones. If you're after group sessions, I offer them as well. They're not via the website. Contact me direct and I can give you a price on that. I also offer a throw analysis service. You film yourself throwing, send it me over, and I will give you a little video back of my analysis. I'll draw some fancy lines on it. I may show you some other players that I think you want to try and be copying in a way. When I use the word copying, I don't mean I want you to throw like them. What I mean by that is this is their motion. It might benefit you. Also via there now, I'm doing online darts coaching through. If you're not available to get to Stoke-on-Trent, i.e. you're not in the UK, you're in Europe or America, I now offer online virtual training sessions as well, so that's an option via the website. All on my website, swrdartscoaching.co.uk. Until we chat again, or I meet you at the hockey now I'm playing, who knows, I hope you take care and keep enjoying your darts.